Next verse. And you know the story where Solomon says, you know what I'm going to ask you, God, for is for great wisdom and discernment. You remember that? And sure enough, that gift of wisdom and discernment comes upon Solomon. And God actually thought it was a pretty good request. God said, you did not ask for long life. You did not ask for riches. You did not ask for the neck of your enemies. Here, you asked for wisdom because this is Solomon's motivation. He wanted to do a good job as king. He wanted to be effective. He wanted to be successful. And that's why he asked for what he asked for. And the Bible, it doesn't condemn desiring spiritual gifts or asking for wisdom. Desiring spiritual gifts, that's 1 Corinthians 14. Asking God for wisdom, that's James chapter 1. So, these aren't bad things. And God honored Solomon's request, and so that, wisdom came on him, and that gift started to go into effect. And then Solomon's career took off. He became a household name, not just in his country, he was already king, but around the world, where, kings and queens would travel from long distances just to sit at his feet and glean from his wisdom. And yet, towards the end of Solomon's life, we know that he ends up taking in a lot of wives, and they turn his heart away from the Lord. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 9. And it tells us that the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice. I was just in the shower, minding my own business, and the word of the Lord came to me. And the Lord spoke to me saying, Solomon asked for a good thing, but he did not ask for the best thing. Yes, asking God for spiritual gifts, yes, desiring wisdom, yes, desiring to be successful so that we can effectively serve God in whatever He's called us to do. That's a good thing to ask. But it's not the best. And the difference between Solomon and David was Solomon's one request was, I want wisdom so I can be successful. David's one request, you want to know what it was? You probably know what it was. Psalm chapter 27, verse 4. Let's put that up on the screen. One thing I have asked of the Lord. That's his one thing. That's his one request. If God showed up to David and said, ask me one thing, this would have been the one thing. One thing I have asked of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. Now, he's talking more about wanting to be a church rat. He's talking about the presence of God. To gaze upon the beauty of the Lord, just to have your heart fascinated by who God is, having those butterflies in your stomach, and to inquire in His temple, to be able to know the heart and mind of God. See, David, his one request was intimacy. Solomon's one request was success. David ended gloriously. Solomon ended tragically. Again, there is a place for wanting gifts. There is a place for wanting to be successful, to be influential, and even to be effective. But if that comes before wanting the presence of God, wanting to be fascinated with who God is, wanting this joy in your relationship with God, wanting to be so close to Him that we can hear His heartbeat, we got it all wrong. We got the cart before the horse. Now, if you get the cart before the horse, see, the cart is your success, your influence, your blessing, and all of that kind of stuff. You get that before your relationship with God, which is the horse, then you know what you end up with? You end up with an injured horse. Your horse is keep pounding against the cart. Yes, initially it can move forward a little bit, but then after a while, it's going to be injured. Not just that, but you're probably going to have a flipped over cart. And eventually everything you worked so hard for, you're going to lose.